common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Joining us is the great Bill O'Reilly. Bill, you believe this will be, I think you said, the second most important debate in American history. Explain.
Okay, it sounds like a little exaggeration, but if you step back and look at the country, I think I can make a case. So Lincoln Douglas was the first debate that really shaped how we live today, and that happened in 1858 between Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas running for the Senate in Illinois. And Douglas beat Lincoln. But in the debate, which was 3 hours long and no TV, Abraham Lincoln established himself as an anti-slavery politician very eloquently, and that carried him into the White House 2 years later. And Abraham Lincoln is our best president by far of all time, and you'll see that in my upcoming book, Confronting the Presidents, which will be out in September. By contrast, this debate now, very few people understand the long-term implications of it. It's not Trump and Biden. That's not really what's going on. It's about the American system of government. So Joe Biden, as everyone knows, and it is indisputable, it is not debatable, is a progressive leftist. That's how he governs. What does that mean? It means that the government should control the American economy and how Americans live. It's not a free marketplace any longer if the progressives take power. Biden does exactly what they tell him to do and has for 3.5 years, which is why you have an open border, which is why you have an attack on the fossil fuel industry, which is why you have a foreign policy of appeasement and sometimes surrender, as we saw in Afghanistan. Those are all progressive tenets. If Biden is elected again in November, there will be no restraints on him. None. And it will be on steroids. One example. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% have no more than $500 in the bank. Think about that. They have no money. They're tapped out. They get by because we have good employment numbers, but they have no reserve. Something bad happens to them, they're hosed. Biden is saying openly that he wants to raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%, which would put it over 30% in many states, the corporate tax rate. Well, who do you think is going to pay for that tax rise? The corporations and companies that you buy everything from, everything. Going to pass that along to you. And you think that you're paying more for stuff now? Wait do you see if that ever got through? That's what the progressives want. They want the individual American to be powerless. They want the federal government to dictate who has what, who gets what. And that is where Joe Biden is firmly grounded, right there. And if you vote for him in November, that's what you are voting for.
Your inflation rates will continue to go higher.
Everything will go higher, John. And I listed today on my television program, the No Spin News, I listed food, fuel, insurance, home and car, mortgage. Every single thing in our lives is up double digits under Biden. Everything. Yet millions of Americans would still vote for him. Are they stupid? Some of them. But most of them are apathetic. They don't understand, and they are being misled by a corporate media that incredibly has actually bought into this progressive vision. So the debate tonight, if Biden doesn't make it through the debate, if he falters, he's through. He's done. Will not come back. He'll lose. But if he gets through it, it's going to be a real close race till November.
What do you make of Nate Silver? Did you see Nate Silver, of course?
He doesn't impress me. Well, all he did, I believe, Nate Silver is a political analyst, and he gives Trump a 65% chance of winning the electoral vote now. What he's doing is he's mirroring what they have in London at Ladbroke, which is the place where you can actually bet money, big money, on a presidential race. You cannot bet on the presidential race in the United States. Against the law, no one will take your action. Can't go to Vegas, can't go to Atlantic City. You can't do it. You can do it with a bookie, I guess, but you can't do it legally. Ladbroke has Trump at about 65% chance of winning. And that's where I think Silver took what he said. And Silver's a left-leaning guy, so it was an interesting comment.
Right.
That's where I got some ink.
What do you think, Bill O'Reilly, about the moderators tonight? Because, boy, if you look at the history of Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, some of the comments that specifically Jake Tapper, where he's like dipped out of Trump when he talked about the border, saying, oh, what's he talking about? Do you think it's going to be Trump against three?
I think that CNN is in so much trouble economically, and I'm hoping John.
Oops, did we lose you there, Bill? Hang on, we may be having a little.
I think when he mentioned CNN, he was immediately cut off.
Yeah, that was it. He was having. I think he was about to say maybe John by CNN. I think maybe that was the next. I'm not. His point though.
The
about
Ashland computers in Canada shut him off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. One of the things though is going to be interesting to watch you guys and hear here on WABC is the dynamic of the moderators, because I played last night on my show where Jake Tapper referred to Trump as Hitler. You've got that. You've got, obviously, he's battling Biden. He's battling the other moderator. Do you think, Ed, it's going to be 3 against 1?
No, I think they're going to want to clean up their act because people such as you have pointed out this problem. And CNN is under new management that wants to go more down the middle.
The world is watching.
They don't want to get fired.
Yeah, Governor?
The Republican chair on this occasion speaks for me.
On this occasion.
On a lot of occasions, Governor. But this is a big one. The debate is
Did we
tonight.
get Bill O'Reilly back yet? What's going on?
We're working on it. Judge Weinberg, your thoughts about the role and how would you handle that if you've got suddenly, because the moderators do play a big role. I've moderated a number of debates. And where I think it's going to be interesting is the follow-ups, because the moderators have some latitude to say, I'm going to do a follow-up to that, or I'm not going to do a follow-up.
Well, Rita, when you were the moderator, and of course, you're a very opinionated person.
Only with you guys.
Yes. But I would think at a time, and this is really what I was talking about, is that you're going to be judged for all time.
Yep.
The candidates are going to go, one's going to win, one's going to lose. But you're still there, and particularly at CNN, I don't think that'd be a good time to make Trump look bad. I mean, I'll just say this one thing. When I was in office and I had to debate candidates when I was running for re-election, I loved when the moderators were negative toward me and supporting the other candidates, because it really gives you a chance to look like you're fighting the government as much as you're fighting to win an election.
Yeah, and you can win it. I think of Newt Gingrich, who we've had on the show. He was brilliant. I understand we got Bill back. Bill, you were talking about CNN, and then it dropped off, so that maybe someone's listening.
They're still listening.
Yeah, they're still listening. Bill, we're working on it. Bill, can you hear us? We're going to try to get Bill back as we're in the middle of all this. But I think your point, Governor Patterson, about it's sort of the taking on. I brought up Newt Gingrich because Newt was masterful. Remember when he had those? It was in a primary, and he really took it to like all the moderators that moment, Ed.
Yeah, no, look, the tough questions are the questions you can really play off of and do very well. So you don't mind a tough question. You do mind a snide question. That's a different issue.
But remember, the polls make it very clear that people do not trust or like the media. And therefore, they have to be very, very careful. Because if their bias is showing, that's a real problem in terms of the legacy of CNN and their personal legacies. And to your point, Rita, Newt Gingrich was absolutely brilliant when he did that. And if Trump can turn around, if they go after him or they cut him off and he handles them properly and puts them in their place, he'll actually win points on that.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go back to Bill O'Reilly. I understand we do have him again. Bill, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on here. I think CNN is tapping my phone, and then
That's what we figured. That's what we figured.
So where I left you was I hope Catsimatidis buys CNN because it's not going to be in business much longer, and that's not hyperbole. I checked their ratings 2 nights ago. They're down about 400,000 for prime time.
Wow.
You could put 5 parakeets on in prime time if they can talk, and you could get 400,000 people to watch 5 parakeets.
I think WABC has more.
Yeah, by far.
And we only use 2 parakeets.
It's a colossal collapse. And the new CEO, this guy Thompson, he has given instructions, I understand, to both Tapper and Bash not to be partisan idiots. It's going to be hard for Tapper. I mean, he's a real Trump hater. He hates Trump personally. Bash, I think she does what she's told pretty much. But remember the format in this. So they'll be able to ask the questions, and they're going to have to ask tough questions of both candidates. They'll have to, because if they don't, everybody will just kill them. But that doesn't mean the candidates have to answer the questions. In the format that they have, the opposition is muted, and so you can ask Trump, hey, it's Thursday. Do you like Thursday? And he can talk about anything he wants. He's going to answer the question if he wants to, and if he doesn't want to, he'll wander into someplace else. That's why Biden was 7 days at Camp David, because what they did with Biden for 7 days is they had him memorize about 15 answers. They're anticipating border questions, inflation questions, Ukraine, Israel, abortion. And they'll be big on abortion. CNN will go heavy on abortion. So they're anticipating that Biden will be asked certain questions. So they gave him a primer. Here's what you say when asked. Now, the drama is whether Biden can remember what he has memorized.
Right. No notes. No notes. Again, no props. Just a blank notepad.
Proctor.
Right.
Right. And
that's a challenge.
Believe me, if he cannot get through it, if he's bumbling and fumbling, they'll dump him. He will not be the candidate. He'll do what LBJ did in '68 and say, I've had enough. I'm going to throw my delegates to whoever the convention thinks should run.
My first question would be, Mr. Biden, President Biden, why did you not give RFK Secret Service protection? His father died. His father died, and his uncle both died, and you could be next.
That's an excellent, excellent question, and I have not even thought of that, which strikes me that I'm guilty of dereliction of duty. My top question for him is this, for Biden. Your open border policy has cost the U.S. taxpayer $151 billion. And that's just federal spending. Cities of New York, Chicago, St. Louis, Miami are going bankrupt because of all the migrants flooding in that they have to support. Why did you change the Remain in Mexico policy that had this problem contained?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and you know what I would add to that, Bill? I would add, plus you've cut city services in a lot of departments, too, as a result of it. Governor Patterson.
Bill, you really think that if Biden really flubs this debate that he'll be out and he'll put someone else in? That's a very difficult undertaking at this particular point. If he were just a candidate, as former President Trump is, that'd be one thing. But he's still the president and lives in the White House.
But he has the power to resign anytime he wants. And why do you think, Governor, that they're having this debate on June 27th? It's the Democrats that pushed this debate. This is not a debate that's nonpartisan, both sides. This is a Democratic Party debate. And they got CNN, who's allied with the Democratic Party, to run it, and then they invited Trump, and Trump accepted.
Okay, I agree.
Why do you think they did the June 27th?
I agree with you there. But what I would say is if he does really do that badly, whoever takes his place is going to get slaughtered.
Well, let's hope so. And I say that not as a Republican. I'm a registered independent. Because if the Democratic Party is going to throw in with the progressive movement, which it has, I don't want to live in a socialist government. I don't want to live that way. And I don't think most Americans do either, but they don't understand what's taking place before their eyes. And we New Yorkers should understand it most of all.
Well, you're right about that, because I don't want to live in that kind of society either.
Right. And New York is the most heavily taxed state in the union, where it's almost impossible for working people to get ahead. And you see the social disorder under the progressive left. You see it right in your face. Every time you walk out in the city streets, you see it.
Yeah, we sure do.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, we've got Ed Cox has a quick question for you, Bill O'Reilly.
Bill, do you think that the folks around Biden expected Trump to accept their very tough terms for the debate?
Yeah, because Trump has nothing to lose here. I mean, these people who say he's insane, cable news people who have IQs of pears.
Don't insult pears.
No, right. You get a better conversation from a pear. Put a little face on it. Last week they were going, "Oh, Trump's not going to show up." I'm going, "What are you out of your mind?"
Oh,
Trump thinks he could beat Biden. What is it? Both hands tied behind his back and his tongue behind his ear,
and a blindfold.
Right. So. And I don't know whether that's true. We're certainly going to find out. But Trump is much more glib than Biden. And Trump's problem is he gets out of control. He can't tonight be mean. He cannot be mean. He needs women to vote for him. And most women don't like mean guys. So he's got to tamp it down. And Biden will be bear baiting him all night long. You're a felon, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 blah. Trump has got to maintain his cool and just stay in the policy range.
Bill O'Reilly.
Trump does that, he wins.
Bill O'Reilly, I'll be listening to you and Rita tonight at 9 o'clock to whatever time, and God bless you and God bless America, and let's hope for a good outcome.
Thanks for having me in, guys.